Allison. I decided I'm gonna do the Never Will I Ever book tag. It's like a play off the drinking game, I guess, the Never Have I Ever, but this is Never Will I Ever, and it's all related to bookish things. Nobody tagged me. I'll post the original video in the description box. It was by Irish Reader, and he made up the tag, I'm pretty sure. So I just wanted to do it because it didn't seem like it was that old of a tag, and it seemed like fun, and I had answers for all the questions, and plus there aren't a lot of questions. So yeah, let's just get into it. The first question on the tag is, never will I ever ship this. You're supposed to pick a ship that you're not on board with. I'm gonna try not to do spoilers throughout this whole video. There won't be any specific spoilers for sure, because I'm against spoilers, but if you see me hold up a book and you don't want to know anything about it, plug your ears. So the ship I chose that I'm not a fan of, that I think a lot of people are a fan of, is from the most recent Throne of Glass book, and it's Lorcan and Elide. I don't ship it. I don't forgive Lorcan for what he did, because he did have a hand in what happened, and because he's been voluntarily doing Maeve's bidding for hundreds of years because he's like creepy in love with her, and I don't think he did enough redeeming things to make up for that fact. He knows she's evil, everybody knows she's evil, and he's working loyally for her, and I don't appreciate that. I love Elide and I want to protect her, and I don't trust him, and so he's gonna have a lot of explaining to do in the next one, because otherwise I'm not gonna ship it. Okay, I hate to talk about the same series again, but the next question, number 2, is never will I ever forget that ending. And you're supposed to pick an ending that really stuck with you for whatever reason, good or bad. And for this one, I chose the ending of Crown of Midnight, because maybe I'm an idiot, but I didn't see it coming. I read these when they first came out, so I didn't have any chance to be spoiled. I feel like everybody now who starts reading Throne of Glass has seen so much of the things we talk about, like just then when I talked about Lorcan and Elide. Whether you know who they are or not, now you know to look out for them at some point. But I just didn't see it coming, and it was just this huge epic oh my gosh, and I just remember that was the moment when I was like, this is the best series ever. This was the best sequel I had ever read up to that point. I was so used to second books being like a bridge book just to get from the beginning to the end, and this was not that. And then the ending, I was like, oh my gosh, the first book is just the setup for the real story. This is so good. So I was so psyched at the end of this book, and I was so upset I had to wait so long, and I just will never forget that psyched feeling that I had at the end of this book, and it's when this became my favorite series. So she can do no wrong in my eyes anymore. This is my favorite series. The next one is never will I ever get over this character's death. So I'm leaving out a big spoiler alert right now. If you haven't read The Hunger Games for some reason, you're about to get spoiled on someone who dies in the last book. I will never forgive Suzanne Collins for killing Prim. I won't do it. That's the whole reason Katniss did this in the first place. All she was trying to do was save her sister. She wasn't trying to start a rebellion. She wasn't planning a revolution. She wanted to protect her little sister. And she got so far and went through everything that she went through, and then, oh, sorry, bye, she's dead, just at the end. Sorry. Have fun with your PTSD. Goodbye. What? I was so upset about this. So even though I love this series, I won't get over that ever, because it's not okay. The next one is never will I ever stop crying over this book. This was hard for me to pick one, actually, because I'm a crier. I cry. I'm an emotional person. I cry when I read all the time. So there's a ton of books I read that I just cried and cried and cried, but I decided to avoid spoilers for some of my favorite books. I'm gonna go with the obvious answer and say The Fault in Our Stars, because I did cry seriously. I cried. I was weeping for maybe the last 100 pages. It took me forever to finish this book because towards the end I just had to keep stopping to compose myself. I was weeping so hard I like couldn't see to read the words through all my tears. It was so awful. And it's like, it's such a beautiful book, but I'm never going to be able to read it again. I'm never going to be able to see that movie again, even though it was a really good movie. I did so much ugly crying in that movie theater. I went through like a whole box of tissues, me and my friend did. It was so bad. And this was worse because I was by myself reading it, so it was just letting it all loose. Everything, all the tears were everywhere. I just hate it because I'm never going to be able to read this book again, and it's so, so beautiful. It had some of the best quotes I've ever heard. John Green is such an amazing writer. Like, this has some of my favorite quotes of all time in it, and I just am never going to be able to read it again. I just have to read the quotes, and even some of the quotes make me cry, so I don't know what to do. I mean, my thoughts are stars I cannot fathom into constellations. That's so beautiful and so true. And how do you do this, John Green? Why do you do this to me? Number 5 prompt on this is never will I ever read this book or series. You pick a book or a series that you're never ever gonna read. I hate to say never ever about reading because my reading moods change all the time. So I never know what I'm gonna want to read later in life. But I decided I'll pick one that everybody knows about that I'm probably just not going to read. The Percy Jackson series. I'm just probably not going to read it. I mean, it sounds like a cool idea. I know everybody loves them, but I'm too old to be reading all the YA I read, let alone middle grade. So I just don't know if I'll ever read them. I just don't feel very compelled to read them, even though I know they're good. I just don't really care, I guess. I hate that, but it's true. The next question is, never will I ever stop raving about this series. Do I even have to say it? Do I even have to say it? Do I? I'm going to anyway. Throne of Glass! Surprise! I will never stop raving about this series. It's so good. I mean, there's a lot of book series I'll rave about forever, but if you ask anyone who knows me, they'll tell you I'm obnoxious about this book. Because I am! I love it so much! That's one of the reasons I'm on BookTube, is to let loose all my bookish feelings. And I have a lot of bookish feelings about this series, and I love it so, so much. So, I'm just never going to stop talking about it ever. Sorry. Not sorry. Number 7. Never will I ever lend this book to anyone. If I think someone needs a book, I tend to buy it for them as a present of some kind, and a lot of the time they still don't read them. You know who you are. I don't know, it would depend on the book and it would depend on the person, because my books are my babies. I mean, I will say I would never lend anything that was signed to anyone, but other than that, I hate to say never, but I am hesitant. I don't offer, hey, borrow this book from me. I don't really do much of that. So it just depends on the person and on the book, because I'd have to like trust that they'd be safe with it. Also, I think it would have to be someone who read pretty quickly, because I can't be parted from my books for that long. I don't know, I've got problems. But anyway, so the last one is never will I ever not tag you, and you're supposed to tag a bunch of people to do this tag. Like I said, no one tagged me, and I'm new on the BookTube, so I don't know who to tag. So if you have a BookTube channel and you haven't done this tag, then do the tag. It's pretty fun. And if you have done the tag, you should link your video down below so I can watch it, because I've watched quite a few of them, but I always love to watch bookish videos, so there you go. But that's all I have for today. I just wanted to do this tag because it wasn't very long, and I just thought it would be fun, and I had fun doing it, so that's good. So anyway, that was the tag. I hope you had fun watching. I had fun filming and talking about books. It's my favorite thing to do, so I'll be back again to talk about more books. Bye!